Please remember, the views and opinions expressed by this show or any other show on DV Radio and its guests are strictly those of said individuals and do not reflect those of the DV Radio staff, nor the staff of Dysfunctional Veterans.
DV Radio.
So we have somebody from CONUS Battle Drills. Now, before we bring them on, has anybody done their homework on them?
I've done what I could.
Of course, listen. I'm running this. Don't be doing that, Judy, and answering questions with questions. Cut that shit out.
Yeah, you're talking to the guy that gives me a guest to come on the day before we go on. So.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it real quick before we bring them on, Six, or you want me to? Or
yeah, real simple. It's they provide a guide for combat veterans, and I would imagine regular veterans, to go from being in to getting out to corporate life, parenthood, and gauging the beast inside is what it is. I want to learn more about them as I can. So that's why I said let's have them on. I mean, there is no when you're in the military and you have all the Jesus, it's fucking hot in here. You got that heat cranking pretty good. We're sweating in DV Farm there, Google. The dog's taking his fur off.
What I'm hearing is complaints.
Here, can we turn the heat off? Or no, you know what? I'll open the window. I'll freeze the bird.
Oh my God.
I got it. I got a can of compressed air here. All right. So
you're gonna finish this introduction?
When we're in the service and you get out, there is no manual to get out. And it sounds like what these guys do is they help with part of that, some of that transition. And we're going to learn about exactly what that is and what all they preach and teach and all that other shit. So, Bo's going to figure out how to get them in here.
He's already in here.
Yep, I'm here.
So who's he?
So this is Luis Fernandez. You know, I got to tell you, Six, I was a little nervous about coming on this radio show, and then you about shit your pants within like the first 2 minutes. I was like, you know what? It's all good.
That was supposed to be muted. You heard that.
Well, you failed at that mission.
That's one way to keep the living here, you know.
Well, yeah.
I heard when you die, the last part's the best. So everything comes out. So, and if you've ever died, for those people who are dead and are listening, you know what I'm talking about. You shit yourself. So, all right, is it Luis or Luis?
Yeah. No, it's Luis. Luis is fine. Right, it doesn't matter. At home, it's Luis. So.
Fucking cholo. I forgot how I came across your page. Oh no, you know what? I came across it when I was searching. I did a little internet search to see how many people helped us when we were down for a count. A couple days ago, and I saw that you had tagged us in one of your posts. So I went over, checked out the page, never heard of you before, and I like what I saw, and I'm like, this is great. We got to get these guys on the radio. So, like I said in the preamble here, you provide some sort of guide. What is it? What's it about? Why you chose to do this? And, how does it work?
Right. So, it's the guide, I guess you could call what you're reading from there, that headline, that's from the book. So it started off, I had a soldier, former soldier of mine. He was complaining on Facebook about trying to find a job, and I've been out for a few years, kind of got my shit together, and I'm in a position now in my company where I'm kind of in a hiring role, so I know what to look for. We messaged back and forth a couple times. I realized he really didn't know what he was looking for. He didn't have a good plan, and what started like a Facebook rant ended up turning into a book. And I realized like halfway into this, I'm like, man, this shit's longer than, and I ended up writing a book. And so what the book does, I couple a story in the military to something in the civilian world. So my first time jumping out of an airplane and what it's like to have a DD-14 and drive off the base for the first time. And kind of like, that, and I tell the stories. And the thing is, I was an infantry officer, and fell in love with those guys, that kind of mentality. And I understand that group of men. And you gotta, if you want to teach that group, you gotta fucking keep them entertained. And you spend so much time training to be a soldier. We take guys and they train for 9-10 months a year before they show up to a unit, and then they train in the unit, do all this training to go to war. But then when it comes time to join the civilian world, they get 2 fucking weeks by a damn civilian that doesn't even know what they're talking about and never been through this.
They're lucky. That's if they're lucky, if they even get that. And there's a lot of them that are out there that have gone straight from overseas theater back to the States, and they're a civilian because they were hurt or something. Yeah. And then just come on.
And it's a big deal, and guys don't realize this. You're changing your career, you're changing your friends, you're changing, your location, you're fucking moving, everything you do.
Your body language, your syntax. Yeah. You've got to overcome all these fucking bad habits, I like to say.
Yeah.
Hey, Six, this is his book, not yours.
It's all right. I mean, he's got it. This is also his radio show, so whatever the fuck he wants.
Let me this is what it's like to be married, too.
You should change her call sign to 6 then, is what it is.
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
Yeah. So basically, that the book is to kind of give you, I talk about what it was like. And if you go to somebody, and here's the thing, like if you go to like all of these other like self-help books, it reads like a fucking manual. And that's not what I like to read, and I don't find that helpful. If you go to somebody and you're like, hey, dude, I need to find a job. What should I do? They're going to tell you a personal story of, this is what I did, and this is how it was successful. And these are the things, this is where I screwed up. These are the lessons you can learn. And so that's how I wrote the book, is all about, it's a story. And I tell you, it's basically like an AAR on the shit that I messed up. Like, hey, don't do this. Hey, do this. And there's like survival tips throughout, and actionable shit. What's that?
How big is this book? How many sections does it have? And
I don't remember a number of chapters, but it's also only like 120, 130 pages or something. I try to keep it simple because I know I'm not going to keep your attention for very long.
Do you have pictures in it for the Marines?
Yeah. There's a kid's version, right, with crayon? No, it's just the one. There are a few pictures in there, but nothing like that, yeah.
So we're talking to Lewis at CONUS Battle Drills, who puts out a guide basically to help transition from military to civilian life. And you can check them out at www.conusbattledrills.com. I say it right there, Lewis.
Yep, that's right. And the website is basically like the follow-on, adding more stuff and some articles, basically shit that I want to talk about. But in addition to that, other helpful tips. And if you go on like the desktop version, you can go in to the left-hand side. There's different categories. If you need more information on finance or whatever it may be, different articles that we've written, you can put that on there. And then on the Facebook page, it's a free-for-all, man. I run that shit, and I put on there whatever I want. So there's a lot of memes that I think are hilarious that I make. But 99% of everything on there is just me running it. I have a couple other guys that help write articles. I got a psychologist that he writes under a pen name because he still works for the DOD, and he calls them out on their bullshit, and I don't want him to get in trouble. And then I got a headhunter that writes for me. Like, this is what he does for a living. And then another former Green Beret is a good buddy of mine that's a farmer now. Actually, you were talking about needing a tractor. He was chatting with me about that recently, too. So
SRP might want to get close to your headhunter for after hours.
Lewis, what branch of service were you in, and how long did you serve, and any tours?
Yeah, so I was in the Army. I graduated college in 2004, went straight to infantry, OBC, Ranger School, Airborne School. Then I went to the 82nd, and I was in 2504 from 05 to 08, and I deployed to both Afghanistan and Iraq. So I was in Afghanistan 0506, Iraq 0708, and then I was branch detailed to intelligence, and then I hopped over to that. Met my wife out in Arizona while I was doing the MI career course out there, and then went and worked in some counter WMD in APG and Aberdeen Proving Grounds, and my son was born, and that changed everything for me. Holding that little boy, just, I loved getting into firefights. Deployment sucks because you're away, and 99% of the time you ain't doing shit. For me, like that, when you were in combat and actually doing your fucking job, I loved that shit. I really did. And, maybe that sounds crazy. I'm hoping that this is the right audience to say that with. But I love the chaos of combat and being on the, 3 different nets and, moving helicopters out of the way so that I could fire artillery and, maneuvering troops and where I was.
You felt alive.
What's that?
You felt alive.
Oh, it was awesome. And we were in Afghanistan. I was right on the AFPAC border back in 04. That shit was a Wild West, dude. We had cargo Humvees with damn Kevlar blankets draped over them, right? Like, none of that shit that, back when we went to Iraq a few years later, then you had like the full up armor and all that. Anyway, but once I held that boy, man, and I was looking at that little guy, and I realized that life wasn't about me anymore, and what I wanted that didn't really matter anymore. It was this little guy, and he didn't ask to be here, and I owed him some shit. So that was kind of like my motivation to get out and start a new life. So in a lot of ways, I wasn't like mentally prepared. In this fucking chat room, dude, I'm sorry.
Stay out of the chat room. So you stay out of the chat room, it'll sidetrack you. But you did what? It sounds like you did about what, 10 years?
I did about 7. A little over 7 years before I got out.
You packed 10 years into 7. So we'll make a liar out of me.
Yeah, well, it was 10 years ago, but yeah, no, I've been out for 5 years now.
So you chose to do this. You're helping other vets. And what kind of results are you seeing? You got any feedback on anybody you've helped?
Yeah. So, I've got a few messages. One dude, my favorite email so far, I got a message from a guy that says, dude, you don't fucking know me and I don't fucking know you, but you saved my fucking life. It's like, that's it. That's what I did it for. Right now I'm donating all the royalties. Just kind of felt like I needed to do something positive with what beyond, I don't know. And I got that message, and it was like, every night away from the family, all the time spent trying to, I wrote this book. I still got a full-time job. I wrote this book between, 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And that's really when I managed to cite and all this stuff. And so that was really positive. Everything I've gotten on Amazon so far has been 5-star reviews. So that's cool. And you think about it, I started this webpage I started the Facebook page in January. Here we are in December. I've got about 60,000 people following the page, and that's all organic. I haven't done, I tried paying for some ads and stuff, but I don't have money for that. So, I feel like it's gotten out of my hands almost at this point. I met with the guys from Ranger Up, sitting here with you guys, the disgruntled vets, talked to Chappie and met them, Salty Soldier, all these guys, And it's just a really awesome community with great guys. And that's probably been my favorite part about it, is getting in touch with all these people and kind of feeling like I'm part of that group again, being so far removed in the civilian world.
Well, it sounds like
this is Marquis. I want to ask him a question, sis. Can I ask him a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. How did you cite your sources, AP or MLA format? No, that's not the question. That's not the question. I'm glad to have you on the show, man. I'm actually going to look at your book myself soon here. I just wanted to know, did you take your experiences when you capped out the Army and how that didn't help you at all? Because I know it didn't help me when I got out, 2 years ago now. and try to morph it so that us newer soldiers that are just getting out can understand. What I'm trying to say is, do you change some of the verbiage in your book or ebook every once in a while to adapt to today's ever-growing society?
Not so much, but I also try to make it a little bit timeless as much as possible. So when it came to ACAB, I stayed away from that a bit. You know, I know there's good people there, and their intentions are good, and they want to do good. So I didn't want to rag on them too much. Instead, I took a different route where it was, here's real life what I did, and here's what I learned from that, instead of, you know, what I learned or didn't learn in the classroom while I was getting out. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. That's exactly what I was looking for. Six, you can go on now to asking your useless questions.
All right, thank you. So what's one of the most common problems you would say veterans encounter when you get out?
Yeah, I'll give you what I see as the chain of events that I'm trying to break. So everything kind of boils down to the simplest message I give guys. I call it the 4 big questions that you must answer before you get out. Question number 1 is, are you financially ready to get out of the military? And there's some stuff behind that, but being financially ready means, you know, minimizing debt, having a budget, knowing what you need to live, that kind of stuff. Number 2, do you know why you are getting out? A lot of guys, you know, if you're getting out because first sergeant's a dick, then 3 years down the road, you're going to miss it. Or if you're getting out because, you know, your wife doesn't like the military, and you're getting out for her even though you love it, a few years down the road, you're going to resent her for it. So you need to have a good reason of why you're getting out. Number 3 is, do you know where you want to live? And there's a lot of information about that on how you make a decision of where you want to live. And the last one is, do you know what you want to do? And kind of what I tell guys there is, just because you were an MP doesn't mean you need to be a cop. You know, what do you want to do? What do you think you want to do? And so the chain that I call is or what I've seen a lot is, guys get out, they go like, oh, I'm gonna go live near my wife's parents or something. She wants to go back home, whatever. So they get out, they go live there without a good plan. And so they get there, they can't find a job. So financial strain puts strain in the marriage. Strain in the marriage because, you know, he doesn't have a good job, or he's underemployed, whatever it may be. That leads to it's the number 1 reason for fights in a marriage is finances. Then a broken marriage results in shattered relationships with the kids. Shattered relationships with the kids results in solitude. That solitude leads to substance abuse of some sort, whether it be alcohol or another. And that, coupled with depression, leads guys to taking their lives. And, you know, I think that's the chain that I see all the time. And I see, you know, I see early stages of that with some of my friends even. And so if I can inject myself somewhere in there with this project, I'd get their attention with a stupid fucking meme that they think is hilarious, and they follow the page, and then they see an article that talks about understanding how to improve your relationship in your marriage, or improve your communication, or whatever it may be, or how to make a fucking budget, or how to find a job and talk to a headhunter, whatever it may be. If I can inject ourselves into that cycle and break it, and you think it's stupid, but in the end, you know, this little meme or whatever it may be, in the end, we could be saving somebody's life if we are teaching them and they're learning because they're entertained at the same time. So that's kind of the goal, I guess, if you will, even though it's kind of nebulous and we'll never have a good measure of success. I don't know.
Well, those are all real good points you brought up. I just wanted to say about the plan, about getting out. I broke pretty much all of them. I got out because I had to get out, got out with the debt, and the rest is history.
Well, that's I know what not to do, though, right? Because, like, I did the same thing. And I was an officer when I got out. I was, you know, mid-level captain. I was going to be looking at, I would have been a major by now, actually, probably getting my first look at 05. And I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't have a good budget. I didn't really know how to manage my money. And, you know, fucking, I was
without that officer money.
I know. I was counseling soldiers on how to do this shit, and I fucked it up when I got out. You know, the money's different when you're a civilian. The taxes are different. There's no BAH. You know, you got to start paying for health care. Like, shit, I wasn't ready.
You get to work right away unless you got something lined up. No, and I think you nailed it. A lot of guys get out for the wrong reasons. And I never even thought about some of those things you thought about. You get out because your wife don't like it, and then you go live next to their family. Now, I've seen that, but I never dawned on me. I'm getting feedback here, but no, it's all excellent points you make. What else? What's one other thing that's most important to make? You get out, and these guys, most of them that you're dealing with are enlisted. And, you can be in charge of millions of dollars worth of equipment and stuff. And the best thing they're going to find is, something making 10 to 15 bucks an hour at Walmart or something. What do you tell them?
Yeah.
Location?
I wrote a piece there about, when you should start planning on getting out. And I think you should start planning at least a year before you get out of the military. You need to start thinking about it. And you need to answer the 4 questions. And by that, I mean, you need to make a budget, understand what you need to live on, know where you want to live, know why you're getting out, all that shit, right? So if you've got a 12-month plan, and let's say, like what you were just saying, Mama wants to go live in her hometown of, I don't know, let's just say Fayetteville, North Carolina. Fuck it, whatever. Right, yeah. Well, that's where you found. That's where you met her, right? Right on Black Boulevard. Anyway.
The flaming mug.
So 12 months out, you meet a recruiter, you get in touch with a headhunter, and you're like, hey man, I'd like to live in Fayetteville. And so he's going to try and find you a job there. And 9 months out, you need to open your shit up because you probably haven't found a job and say, okay, how about just North Carolina? And then 6 months out, you need to open it up some more and say, okay, how about the southeastern United States? And then when you're 3 months out, if your ass has not got an interview, you need to be like, fuck it, just find me a job anywhere in the country. And you figure this shit out after that. Am I still on?
Yeah, you are. We're letting you.
Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
All right. Sorry. Anyway, so that's your location decision making there as far as that goes is making that, having gates, I guess you could call it. But finding a job, you will not find a job by yourself except the one that you were just talking about, Six, the fucking burger flipping. If you want a job, you have to get a recruiter. You just have to. I don't care what you think about them. The only people that are going to find you a job is a headhunter. I'm sorry. Unless you want to go back and work for the government again, which a lot of guys don't want to do. But if that's what you want to do, you might be able to do that. Oh, and one more thing. You're not going to make $100,000 when you get out.
Hey, Lewis.
Yeah.
I've got somebody asking in chat, monthly salary, about how much savings would you recommend prior to getting out? Or is it just based on where you're at and all that good shit?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on each individual, and it also is going to depend on your job, too. So, like, my current job, I got a really good 401k. So what I did is I just set a 3-month, my goal was to have a 3-month emergency fund. And that's recent, right? So that if I was getting out, if I had a year to plan, I'd plan for having a 6-month emergency fund. And so whatever I'm making now, whatever my current income, like in the bank is, I'd make sure I had that for 6 months before I got out, whatever that number may be. And that kind of gives you some wiggle room. You're ready for emergencies. Or if you want to get crazy and start your own business, you got to understand it's going to be a while before you get a paycheck. So you got to have that backup money or a second source of income before you do that.
Well, if people are listening and have more questions or whatever, what's the best way? Go to your Facebook page and post questions there, or
definitely go to the Facebook page. Send me messages. That shit, it alerts me on my phone, and don't tell my bosses, but occasionally I do check it while I'm at work. I try to stay on top of it. This community means a lot to me. Soldiers mean a lot to me. Guys that sacrifice so much, and once you're done, it seems like a lot of people forget about you, and the people that are supposed to be there really aren't. And that's kind of why I was looking around and said, well, if it's not going to be me, who's it going to be? And why do I keep looking for other people to solve these problems when I have something I can offer? You know, I might not be the best guy, but I'm some guy. And
I think you provide a good niche. You're doing a good niche here. This is one of the few I've heard that actually you're hitting on all the right points. And prior to, you know, we deal with a lot of people that have already made their bed, and we're trying to help them sleep in it.
Yeah.
So, but you summed it up in what you said earlier. You know, well, there is an epidemic of veteran suicide in this country, and suicide isn't like Dan Caddy of Awesome Shit My Drill Sergeant said, and the creator of Battle and Distress said, suicide's not the problem. It's everything that led up to that. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
And you know, the more that you don't take your affairs in order, the more you don't rationalize and be smart about your life, the sooner the better, because it's going to create more problems.
I'm not going to be able to help you deal with your depression or whatever it may be, but if I can help you deal with your marriage and you can get that life in straight and on parenthood and get that shit together and get a job and get your finances, then by doing that, you have some time and some mental strength to deal with all the other bullshit that happens from being in combat. And I get it. That shit is not easy, but let's put that at, like, well, all I'm saying is just take a pause on that shit. Let's figure out everything else so that we can fix. I can fix finances tomorrow. If I get you a job, we can fix your budget tomorrow. I will not be able to fix your nightmares overnight.
Well, you know, you gave me an idea. Maybe we and you can collaborate with your book. I can put scratch and sniff Klonopins on pages and stuff and other meds. You know? So,
Hey, Lewis, have you tried to contact any of the career centers at any of your local military installations to see if you can get your book placed there, so it can be like, you know, just you can hand it out and try to get. You have done that?
Yeah, I have, to no avail. I contacted the folks down at Bragg. I sent a message.
Why'd you go to Bragg? Bragg sucks.
Well, I'm right here, man. I'm like fucking 30 minutes from Bragg. So I contacted that. Well, I put that in air quotes. I sent messages to Bragg and nobody responded. So then I sent a thing to AFES, and I applied to be sold in stores and AFES stores, but it basically requires a store manager to decide to purchase the book.
Hey, well, if you ever want to, you know, maybe you talk next week or at a point. I'll get a hold of you. I'll message your page. We'll talk. Maybe we'll make an arrangement to link the copy of your book on our website or something to help. We're just about out of time. We've been talking to Louis. I forgot his last name. Gonzalez?
I knew that shit was coming, dude.
Gonzalez.
It's gonna be an easy name. I don't know.
No, but Louis, CONUS Battle Drills, it's been great having you on. You got a lot of information. As a matter of fact, I'd like to put you on the rotation. Have you come back on in a couple months and push this again. You brought a lot of good points. And again, if you want more information about what we're talking about and a copy of his book on how to transition from, before you get out into the civilian world, go to www.conusbattledrills.com or go to the Facebook page of the same name, and you can find it there. Louis, it's been great having you on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really appreciate, you guys giving me a voice and helping me get the word out. It means a lot, and I really believe obviously I believe in the project, but I think we can really help some guys, and it means a lot. Thank you.
All right, sir. Yes, sir.
Stop that shit, man. I've been a civilian for 5 fucking years. Yeah, I'm all fat. I told my wife, I was like, babe, somebody broke into the house. Some fat ass is standing in the mirror. I don't know who the fuck he is. All right, you're listening to DV Radio, and stay off our grass, Louis. All right, so
Jerry's fixing the grass and the roof.
Is that another Hispanic joke? I know.
Coming from the black guy. Coming from the black guy.
You're listening to DV Radio.
DV Radio.